Okay, so don't know any other way to start this interview other than jumping right in. So if you want to introduce yourself first off the top.
Matthew Adam Main.
Hello, Matthew. So you want to give us a little brief history of your medical history, what you've had to experience over the years.
I'm 46. I was born in 1975. I was born with three congenital birth defects. One of them is Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. It's a connective tissue disorder. Then I had Pierre-Robin syndrome, which is a lot of facial abnormalities. So I cleft palate, and eating and feeding was very difficult as a child. But the big kicker was the congenital birth heart defect known as tetralogy of Fallot. Basically, the blood wasn't being oxygenated, and when I was 9 months, I had my first surgery. It was basically pre-bypass, and it just allowed the heart to get a constant flow of blood until they could actually correct the valve when I was two years old. I've had 5 open heart surgeries to date. Actually, I've had a total of 46 operations with all of those 3 birth defects, plus just a slew of other things throughout my life. So basically it's been a full-time job in many respects. But having said that, I have been very fortunate with the medical community. The doctors that I've had have been stellar. I've been very fortunate that way. It's taken a real toll on me, and I don't know how to put on a brave face anymore. And I'm not in a wheelchair. I'm not terminal. Outside, everything looks okay. Mm-hmm. It's all internal. And about 3 years ago, before I got a really bad blood infection and landed in the hospital for my 5th open heart surgery, I'd looked at medical assistance in dying. The law was not where it is now, and so I just put that at bay. I kept putting one foot in front of the other, doing the best I could. And then last December, I officially called MAiD and applied for that program, but it took me 6 months to build up the courage in order to phone them, because it was scary as hell. And so the past 12 months I've been going through the process of MAiD, making the initial phone call, having the assessments with the physicians, having many reflective periods, and I went to New York with my best friend,
Who's that?
Who's interviewing me.
Goddamn right.
And it's really beautiful to live in the moment. I mean, I've very much lived in the past and the future, and this whole process has helped me kind of be in the moment and experience being in the moment. I didn't know that was possible, so not living in my head has been a real a treat. I'm like my body, like I'm physically ready. It's just that saying goodbye is the tough part, and anything can change at the last second. And at the same time, I'm not religious by any stretch of the imagination. I do think I have a spirituality to me, and that I do believe that I'll be here, just not in physical form. And then I'm not too sure what else you'd like to ask.
Yeah. So going back to one thing you said earlier about terminal, has it been frustrating for, like, when you've expressed this to people, your decision to, receive medical assistance in dying? Have you gotten responses of like, well, what do you mean? You look fine and you're walking?
And that's what I'm saying. Externally, everything looks great. It's internally. I've been going to a pain clinic for about a year now, and it's gotten to the point where the idea is that you get a treatment and that they're spread out, but mine, it went the other way around, where they're getting closer and closer together, because just the particular set of circumstances and issues that I have. And one of those birth defects that I mentioned at the beginning, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, the connective tissue disorder, they know I have a connective tissue disorder, but it's not that. And I've been going to the genetics clinic to get a diagnosis. So it's for over 8 years, and I still don't have a diagnosis. So it's different if you know what you're dealing with and you know what the treatment is. But if you don't, then it's just trying to try every possible treatment. So it's a hit or miss of what works and what doesn't.
Right.
And just putting on a brave face is just getting harder and harder. And it's about quality of life, not quantity of life.
Right.
And so people are like, well, you look great, and I go, yeah, but it's not because I'm not in a wheelchair. People have a hard time accepting it. So there are people who are like, don't do this. And it's like, yeah, but you're not in my body.
Exactly.
I can't live for someone else. I can only live for me. And there's been a lot of denial. I've really learned who's there for me. I've learned who loves me, who's unconditional, who's supportive, and I've really been the most me I've ever been, and it's a really good feeling.
Yeah, I've noticed in the last few months since you got approved for this, I've seen a relief. I've seen like a certain peace and serenity that I haven't, for the people watching or listening, I've known Matt for about 7 years now, but yeah, there's a level of peace and serenity, like I said, in the last 4 months that I haven't really seen, during that time. Not that he's been, miserable or anything like that all the time. We get to joke, we've laughed, we've joked, we've had a lot of fun over the years, but what I've noticed is that there's a relief, there's a peace. So the decision to do this must feel right.
Yeah, there's nothing rash. It was a lot of, weighing the pros and cons, but once the scale tipped of more bad days than good days, and I'm a walkaholic, I love walking, today's a beautiful day, but it's affecting me, I can feel it.
Right.
So it's, why suffer in silence? And twice this year, I lost control over my bowels,
Right.
and I'm not gonna, live that way.
No.
It's about dignity and grace for me. And I want to be on my own 2 toes going out.
How many conditions do you have?
I think it's around 20, and I've had 46 operations.
Wow. And so, like, we don't have to list everything, but like, what are the things that you've tried to treat these things, or what are the things that the doctors have tried,
Well, I've had really good interventions.
Yeah.
But it's just because they don't have a diagnosis.
Right.
We don't know what it is. That's the issue. It'd be one thing, like I said earlier, if we know what we're dealing with. Well,
Right.
heart. Well, okay, there's a hole, we patch it.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what it is, and there have been a few diagnoses that they thought it might be and it's not.
Right.
So it's because we don't know.
Right.
And you can only go on so long, and it's,
I know.
being a full-time patient.
I was just gonna say, a full-time, over these last 46 years, you must have had hundreds of appointments. I mean, just since I've known you, it's like there hasn't been a week that goes by that you haven't had at least one appointment.
Yeah, I think recently I think I had 1 week where I had not one appointment.
Jeez.
And that was in New York.
Right.
For 1 week I had no appointments.
Right. What was that like?
Fucking fantastic.
Amazing.
Fucking fantastic.
No kidding. So, what's it been like to deal with all of this stuff? Like, what's it been like? Have you felt any support along the way from outside of your doctors, like outside of the medical community? Has there been anything?
The people who I thought would be there weren't, and the people who are, it's just a complete reverse. And so the friendships and love has been overwhelming, and I've learned to surround myself with those who lift me up, who don't bring me down.
Right.
And I've had to set some boundaries. I haven't disengaged. trimming the toxicity out of my life has been a benefit.
Right.
Because it's just too hard to go down that rabbit hole and bring myself up.
Because you don't need any more of that on
No,
top
no.
of what you already have.
No, and like when you go to people who you'd expect to be there for you, and it's this attitude of suck it up, move on, and get over it.
Yeah.
When you think that they would give you nothing but unconditional love,
Yeah.
that's a bit of a tough pill to swallow. So to be able to get that with friends and other people has been really rewarding.
Right.
Like I feel enveloped in love and support, unconditional love, no condition whatsoever. So that's been a new thing for my head to process.
Right. And that's helped.
And like I've been in recovery on and off for many years, and so I just have over 7 years of sobriety, 7.5.
Incredible.
And for those who aren't in recovery, you get medallions for 1 year, 5 year, 10, etc. And my first year medallion said this moment, because I've always lived in the past and the future, and this whole experience has really taught me to live in the moment. Like yesterday, hanging out with some friends, and it was 12 hours and it felt like 12 seconds. I didn't know that was possible.
Right.
Not living in my head and planning.
Yeah. Do you remember what you got on your 5-year medallion?
Keep trudging, baby.
Keep trudging. I think if there's anything we can learn from listening to you, it's keep trudging. One thing I do want to bring up, you just sparked my memory. I've been around suicide. I don't know if this is, what the medical community or you want to call suicide, but I've been around people who do want to end their life. I've been around people who've succeeded. And what sometimes I hear from others is that is so selfish. What do you have to say about that? What do you think it is? Do you think it's selfish? Because I don't, but what do you think?
That's a loaded question, baby. That's not a simple answer because every situation is different. But I know what it's like to be suicidal. I've been suicidal.
Yeah.
This is not that.
No.
This is I know what it's like to be depressed. I was diagnosed with clinical depression 100 moons ago. But this is the body.
Yeah.
That thing, basic things that, you just take for granted, they are becoming issues.
Right.
So I mask it really well, but it's just the timing is right.
Yeah.
There is no good timing, but I don't know when to do it, not to do it. I vacillated all about that, but it just got to a point of there were certain things in my life that I'm just not able to do anymore, and I'm not gonna suffer unnecessarily and just be around for other people to appease their insecurity of this taboo subject, which unfortunately should not. There's no reason for it to be taboo in Europe. It's a commonplace, not commonplace, but I think this is something that will help people because I think they automatically think if you're in a wheelchair, well then that's one thing, but because I'm not, to shed some light on that, not everything is visible, and I can mask it very well, so no one would tell even right now I'm in excruciating pain, but you can't tell because I don't show it.
You're in excruciating pain right now?
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, because you have the right to do what you need to do. I mean, unless someone has walked a mile in someone else's shoes, I don't believe they have the right to judge that person. So, like, clearly you're feeling inside of you that you've made the right decision because it's your right. It's your body. Nobody else should be able to get in the way and say, no, this is when you live and this is when you die. And I'm sure you're really grateful for our government for passing that.
Yeah, and the system that they had in place, they have a lot of safeguards. This is not willy-nilly. They don't just give this to you.
Right.
It's quite an intense process.
Right.
And some people have said, you're not crying. Do you have any feelings around this? I go, well, I have tons. It's that I've been dealing with intense conversations, and it's a lot to process.
Yeah, of
But
course.
I think the tears might come out tomorrow morning.
Because
Sideways.
that's the day. Tomorrow
Yes.
morning is the day.
Yeah,
11 a.m. in the morning.
yeah,
So less than 24 hours.
yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I'm surprised. I'm very calm. I think I'm calm because I'm at peace with the decision that I've made.
Yeah.
There was nothing rushed. There was nothing impulsive,
Hmm.
and I had the support system around me going through this
Right.
every step of the way for the past 12 months.
Yeah.
And it's been, to not have support would be the hardest thing.
Of course.
Unconditional.
Yeah. So, so for those out there who are watching who may be going through what you've gone through and are going through and are considering following through with what you're following through with, who perhaps may have shame around the stigma of this, what would you tell them?
You don't owe anyone anything. Listen to your own heart. It'll steer you in the right direction.
All right. So, is there anything else you would like to add about anything we've talked about? Any last words to the world?
For those people close to in your own lives, take them out for a coffee and just listen to them.
Or take them to
Have
New
them-
York?
Or New York. Be there for just be a witness for someone else in a time of need, and listen. Don't tell them anything. Just be a witness for them to allow that space.
Beautiful. Well, Matthew, thank you for being so courageous and brave and opening up about all of this. And I'm sure it will help a lot of people out there. So know that you've given a great service, and you are a gift to this world, my brother.
Thanks.
I love you.
I love you too.
All right.